New YouTube's Malway George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, we have just about a few more days left of August. I'm telling you, the dog days are about over. Still kind of hot out there. Hope everybody's safe, smart, and and take care of yourself. So anyway, folks, I got a lovely lady right here from the state of Texas, so the Lone Star State. She just made her pro debut about a couple of weeks ago. This is the lovely Mrs. Eunice Martinez Kitchen. She is an IFBB pro bodybuilder, and she's been competing for quite a bit since a good part of the 90s. I would say the 90s are kind of like the silver golden. I would say more close to the golden silver age. It's kind of like getting into the 80s. The end of the mid. You were still in the middle of the Linda Murray era. Women bodybuilding was still kind of strong, very popular. I would say it's kind of silver age. But she competed good back, but she took a step back and she came back and made a return, and she debuted at the Tampa Bay Pro, and she competed in. I think you did both women's bodybuilding and physique, or you just did physique.
No, I did both. And George, actually, I started in 1987.
87.
Yeah.
So you more like this. That was more like that was the edge of the end of the gold. That was kind of like the mid end of the golden era. We still had Linda. You still had Corey Everson.
Oh yeah, I started actually at the age of 15 lifting, and my first competition was in 1987. I was 21 years old, so I competed 87, 88, 89, and all the 90s, and up to 1999. And then I took a shift and focused on my career, and then I returned in 2019.
Mm-hmm. So she already spoke to us how she got into the sport of muscle and masculinity. And I would say, like, again, towards the end of the 80s was kind of like the ending of the golden era, because you still had Corey, who was like the top level female bodybuilder at the time, and and to compete up to the level of people like Linda Murray and Laura Craval, Sandy O'Dowd, those women, it's just great. We got here my man Warrior 2000. He says this. He says, "Greetings, Eunice." Also, he asked you this: have Eunice met Andrea Langer? I think Andrea was a good part of the 80s.
She was.
Yeah, and I think by the time you got into it, Andrea kind of retired. I think right after.
I remember her competing at the Olympia. I do remember seeing her. She was one of those that we always saw on ESPN. Of course, bodybuilding was mainstream back in the 80s and 90s. That was the beauty of bodybuilding back then, is that everybody watched it regardless if you were into bodybuilding. So we had a lot of fans at that time. And it's making a comeback. So I think I came back at a really awesome time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember when I was a kid, you used to catch bodybuilding on NBC, because we lived out in the country. We lived out in the country. We didn't have cable. So you could only catch bodybuilding like NBC. They show it, or ABC every now and then. But then when we came here to town, it was like me, my mother, my brother, my two nephews. We lived here in the projects. We got cable. You can catch bodybuilding on ESPN, on Fox Sports. But now, even though it's kind of have a little bit resurgent, it's still considered a fringe sport. I think in the 2000s, ESPN dropped it from its schedule. They even stopped showing the shows. Like you just show the shows like maybe the 2 or 3 weeks after the show, and they show them. Like I used to remember when I used to talk. I had a job where I used to work 10 hours a day, and sometimes it was off on Fridays. Sometimes you can catch like the Nationals or the Mississippi National or the Olympia or those shows on ESPN. They show it, but now but you still can see it mostly, but on pay-per-view.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I remember seeing myself some weekends on ESPN, and then there was a show called Muscle Sport USA. Tom Terwilliger was actually the host, and so he would cover a lot of the local and regional shows. So it was neat, because after you did a show, you're like, oh, I got to watch myself on TV. And so, like you said, 2 weeks later, turn on ESPN, and they'd cover some of the spotlights, and especially if you won. So anyway, got to see myself quite a bit.
That's pretty good. A man, Warrior 2000 saying, it says, doing the IFBB Masters. Which this weekend we have the Olympia Masters makes a return after being cut out for almost like 10 years, and she's competing in Masters, and I was like this. The Masters really has grown in the last few years. You had guys like Gary Udit, guys like Tim Gardner. I think you bet Tim Gardner when you were at Tampa.
Yes.
They're really giving you much older competitors opportunities to shine, especially ladies like yourself who's competed for a long time, took a step back. I've interviewed ladies like I think about the same time there was a lady by Melanie Horton. If you, I know you probably met her at Tampa.
Oh yeah, I met Melanie.
Yes. Yeah, I interviewed her a while back. She turned pro around I think in the 90s. She did her first Olympia in 99, and that was a year where they almost didn't have the Olympia for Miss Olympia. So they did was they put together with two shows. It was Miss Olympia and the Women's Strength Extravaganza. That was a year that was I think it was that was Kim Tedeschi's last Olympia before she stepped back and came back. And what's it like? Now, like I said again, coming back to compete and be on the stage and and being with women who are like your generation, you might as well say.
Well, there's not a lot of women like me that can actually trace back to the 80s. What I do see is a lot of women who have been in the scene for maybe the last 5-8 years. They raised their families, they put a lot of attention to their career, and now they finally have time for themselves. So that's the most of what I see is women who finally have taken time for themselves and are now living what they probably always dreamed of doing. But like I said, I met Melanie. There's few of us still out there who can trace back to the 90s and the 2000s, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm. I also mention another name, Michelle Brent, who's competed at the Masters Olympia this week. Michelle's won. There's a lady who just got her pro card after she took a step back. That's Carmen Brady. She got a pro card at the same show you got your pro card, and that was a teen collegiate show. She took a step back from bodybuilding. She was acting. She was that dude's girlfriend in Napoleon Dynamite. If you saw that movie, it was Starla. That was her character.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. She was like, I think she was a good part of the 90s and up to 2000s. She started acting, and then now she just got a pro card. I saw another lady. She's more like the 2000s. Candy Canary. She did the USA's about a couple weeks ago, and I was a big fan of Candy Canary. She was amazing. It was a great look, very feminine look to her, and she took a step back because she already had kids before she started bodybuilding. But I know what story was that she was a missionary. She was a pastor. She was married. She wanted to have kids. Took a step back, but things didn't work out with her and her husband. And I think they said they got divorced. And she made a return after hadn't competed since 2007.
Okay.
And she's got to be about mid to late 40s to and still came on stage. Looked all right. Still at the level that she was back in the day. But when you get older, you just can't always maintain that same level of muscle like you used to.
Exactly. Yeah. For every decade that we age, a woman loses 3% of her muscle mass. So, if you can think by the time you're 50, you've already lost at least, 30%. So it is a challenge as you get older. And one of the things that I see as far as myself is my preps have to be longer in order to get into that competition shape. My preps are usually at least 26 weeks, whereas before, it used to be 16. So it's a longer prep as you age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough part about it. Like I said, it's tough because if this was easy for anybody, especially for women, because people don't understand that you're changing the format of a woman's body, the chemistry, everything. Because as we know, yes, there's certain muscle enhancers you do use because you can't gain that level of muscle naturally. It's harder to gain it naturally. You can look good, but you're not going to look as big and conditioned. And being a woman in this sport, what did you see in your mindset that has changed in the last 20, 30 years since you last competed?
Well, as far as presentation, what I've seen is the conditioning. The judges, depending on which division you're participating, if you're physique, they really want to see a very conditioned body up there. Your bodybuilding, a little bit of fuller, more muscular, so not as striated, not as conditioned. But for us who are older, it's hard competing against the big women in bodybuilding. So for me, I see myself more in the physique category than bodybuilding. And so that just means more conditioning for me. So I really have to prep longer and, do a lot more cardio in order to get that, the leanness that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. You want to come in a level of definition, leanness. Yeah, with what I learned with these aspects of like what those in bodybuilding, you want that full round. As Melody, she told me I asked her to mean the word muscle bellies, and she told me that you want that full roundness in your shoulders and your delts. And some women can get it. Like one lady who I thought I'm a big fan of hers. I sip over her. That's Andrea Shaw. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, I'm her biggest fan out there.
I know you met her a couple of times.
Yeah,
I mean,
I tell you what, she is definitely making an impact and changing women's bodybuilding. We couldn't ask for a better ambassador. She's a classy lady, educated, just genuine, authentically kind person. Very humble. I had an opportunity to meet her at Masters Nationals. And ever since, I mean, she made such a huge impact. I think for me, I've never met Linda Murray, but all the other Olympians, Miss Olympias, I have had an opportunity to meet. But I would say that Andrea is probably, for me, the most impactful Miss Olympia ever.
Because I think she really brings,
of course, the beauty. She just has the beauty to go with it, and sound faith, and just a woman that's really making a difference.
Yeah, because just has that. She reminds me of I think you remember this lady from back in the day. Audrey Harris White. If you remember her, she has that same look to her, especially around the facial structure. Not as much as the physique, but she has that great look, very strong feminine features, in my opinion. Some people say, she's not that feminine, but like I said, this is. I know some women. Like I did interview a lady who works with her, out of Michigan, around about the Detroit area. I know a lady who's friends with her. I mean, she just brings this level of just unbelievable look, style, grace. She's like, basically side is like the movie The Fifth Element.
Right.
When she's perfect.
Yeah, she's perfect. She's the Ronnie Coleman of female bodybuilding.
Well, I don't know. I would say Iris is the Ronnie Coleman with the most wins. I would say Andrea is closer to Linda than anything. Now, if she gets more wins, yeah, I would put her in the Ronnie Coleman section with her. But she's closer to Linda because when Linda was competing, because I saw Linda when she was at Savannah. I wish I had talked to her. I knew she was busy, but I got to see her. She even smiled at me when she was sitting up front doing the prejudging. That's it. But I think she's more closer to Linda Murray than she is to Iris Kyle. A lot of people didn't like Iris Kyle. Iris had a great physique, amazing body, but some people feel like she was the one that kind of put the dagger into her body. But the fact is, it wasn't really her. It was really the IFBB and the just keep changing criteria. Like I know that Masters Olympia in '99, how I say like, oh, we're gonna put it in a new weight class. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. We want to go like that. It's just they just don't want to know what they want to stick with. Right here, we got a man, Jay Warrior. He says this. He says, "What about Bev Francis? She's one of my favorite FBBCs of all time, other than Linda Murray and Laura Craval." So she said never met Linda Murray, and Bev Francis. That's a legend. She's a lady. I think Bev was the one who changed women's bodybuilding when she came to the sport back in the early 80s. Because, even though she was trying to conform herself more to what they want to see women's bodybuilding, but that last Miss Olympia in '91, she really brought in a level of muscle that was just amazing.
Yeah, Bev was a legend, and she is a legend. She did change women's bodybuilding. I remember when it was the Pumping Iron 2, the women came out, that movie. Of course, I was bodybuilding at that time, but I don't think I was competing yet, but I was getting ready to compete. And Bev Francis just, she was ahead of her time at that point. The most muscular woman out there.
Yeah, because she just, like I said, big family, amazing woman. She just changed the sport at a certain level that no one was ever seen. Because and this is the thing about the sport of bodybuilding, especially for the women. They're always going to get this stigma against it because people, especially the everyday Joe Schmo, John Q. Public, they'll think that women can be feminine, can be muscular, can be athletes. The idea of women in bodybuilding is just something that's just kind of, really cheated. But I was going to say earlier, what really got you started into this sport, as I call it, muscle amalgamated? I mean, we talked earlier. Share your story. Who really inspired you to get into this sport?
Well, I can take it back to the age of 15. George, I was raised in a typical Hispanic cultured family. And my dad was actually a foreman for a commercial construction company. And his company that he worked for, they built all the Krogers in the nation. So a lot of the times my dad was gone building the Krogers in different states. But in between Kroger jobs, he would also build, other commercial businesses. And so at this time, he was building something in the area. And so he would always ask my brother and I to help him go clean up these job sites. A lot of times we'd go and collect this, like the copper wire that had been installed, by the electricians. And we would go collect it. And so we would actually take it home and peel it and, take it we would actually get it weighed at this place and earn money off of it. So sometimes that's the way that my brother and I would earn money. But this time he asked me, he says, hey, go with me. I'm going to go check the job site out. So I went with him and we drove up to this building. And it was a big 2-story building. And I said, Dad, what is this? And he says, well, this is where people come exercise. And so I looked at him and I'd never heard of, people actually going to a place to exercise. And so as we walked in and there was this big mural on the wall that I saw. And I looked up and I said, Dad, who's that? And he says, that's the lady who owns this place. And she was posing in a posing suit, flexing her muscles, was holding this trophy in her hand. And I looked at him and I said, I want to look like her. Of course, at this time I was 15 years old. I probably weighed 170 pounds at 5 foot tall. And so he looked down at me and he said, well, you need to start lifting some weights. So the miracle in that is that my dad was a typical Hispanic man. He had a 3rd grade education. He could have easily broken my spirit at that point and said, no daughter of mine's going to be in a posing suit, or no, women don't have muscles. But instead, he says, well, you better start lifting some weights. So 2 months later was my birthday. And so my parents took me down to Sears Roebuck and I got my first weightlifting set, 120 pounds, the plastic with the cement. And there was a rent house next to us that my uncle owned and it was empty at that time. So my dad says, well, why don't we put your weight set in there and I'll hang you a little mirror. So that's what he did. We built me a little, table for my jam box. He hung me a mirror. He even built me a little sit-up bench. And so that's where I put my little DP set and that's where I started lifting. And so that was the miracle in this whole thing. And later I find out that the lady in which I was looking and admiring was Rachel McLeish, the first crowned Miss Olympia. She owned the gym. She was from my hometown. So that was like, I am looking at Miss Olympia.
Wow. Rachel McLeish not only was she the first Miss Olympia, 2-time Miss Olympia, probably one of the most beautiful women in the sport at the time. Actress, performer. I mean, that's is a legend. We got here my man Warrior 2000 picking on me. He says, George getting hot over Andrea Shaw. Yes, I think she is beautiful. I can't help myself. If you know me by now, guys, I am a muscle person smart. And if I find a way attractive, I'm going to admit it. I'm not going to be like stalking her. Which a while back, I used to have a partner when I used to do. I had a live stream show called Muscle Talk Mondays. We just come on and talk about stuff going on in bodybuilding. I used to have a partner, and he went to New York Pro just a few months ago. He took a picture with Andrea, and I'm like cool. I'm like he see the picture. I said, "What are you doing with my woman?" I mean, I'm sorry. I just it's like I mean, I was cool. I was cool. I'm cool. We're cool, man. But you had your hands all over my girl, man. All over my girl. But guys, I'm just saying. I'm not the stalker weirdo like that. I just think Andrea is a very beautiful woman. Excuse my behavior, Miss Kitchens, but sometimes there's another guy comes out now and then, and this guy, he just loves anarchy. He's love dynamite and gasoline. And Andrea, she is beautiful, and I can't help myself. Down. I have to keep him in the line. He's a part of me, and sometimes he comes out. You get to know me, you realize I'm crazy. He says this also. He says Andrea is a woman of God. Love her. Yeah, she is just a great lady. Also, he says, Richard legend. Yes, she's a legend. Well, I heard somebody say that a while back when they were going to bring back women's bodybuilding, and that was 2 or 3 years ago, back in 2020. They did. She said she didn't want to take part of it because she said she's with past women's bodybuilding. They did have most of the women that win the lady that beat her back in '81 was there. I think most definitely Linda. I don't think Corey Sig would make it, but Carly Dunlap. Linda. I think most all the women who were Miss Olympias were there for we made the announcement of return of women's bodybuilding. Now, after that, what was your first show? What was that feeling that first time on stage?
In 1987, the first time on stage, I didn't know what to expect. I was 21 years old. I was just told that I had the potential to compete, and so I believed my mentor at that time, who was Mr. Wayne Davis. He owned the gym in which I was working at while I was in college. I was one of the very few women. I think there was only 2 of us in that gym. The rest of them were guys who worked out in there. And so he had offered me a job. And so I started working for him while I was going to college. And he asked me if I ever thought about competing. And I said, well, I want to bodybuild. I'm bodybuilding. I said, but as far as competing, I don't know if I could ever get up on stage and, get in a little bikini. And so he says, oh, you'll get over that. He said, I really think you'll do well in bodybuilding. You have the symmetry, he said, and you've got some good muscle mass. And so he said, I'll be glad to mentor you and help you with your first show. He said, I'll even sponsor you. And I was like, okay. And so we looked for an area show, and it was the Golden Triangle, which was Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana border. And so he filled out all my paperwork. He entered me in the show. He paid for everything. And then he told me what to do. And so I think I prepped for 12 weeks at that time and got me down enough to win my weight class. And so that first show, he told me, he says, you're going to have to learn how to pose. I'll teach you the mandatory poses. And then you'll have to do like a little routine. And so I put together my little routine. I had I had fun doing that. I love to pose, by the way. I think as I kept bodybuilding, I became a really good poser, and then taking off for a while. Now I've needed a little bit polishing, but I'm feeling better on stage now, more comfortable. So the old me is back. But the first show, I would have to say I was a little nervous, but after winning, that was it. I was hooked for life.
Yeah, because you think about it, you're on stage. You're wearing, maybe just a few pieces of cloth covering your body. People look at you. You got the light shining on you. You got to get spray tan. I know some of these do. For one thing, to keep from having any kind of incidents, they like glue some sections of their posing suits, especially the backside, because they wanted like a little slip up. I remember was it Denise Massino when she competed at the Olympia? She had one of her boobs popped out doing a competition. You know, I was like, well, you know, they blurred it out in the magazines. You know, you know, they blurred out. You know, you're like, you know, I've seen like, I mean, one time this was I see a clip of a female bodybuilder named Bridget Brozovac. She was doing a routine and her top popped off. I mean, you know, it's just crazy stuff that goes on in the show. We got here my man Lawrence Perkins coming through. He says, "Good afternoon, Eunice, George, and everyone on the chat. Good afternoon, my man Lawrence." Also, Warrior 2000 says, "Not a fan of Iris Kyle. Heard that she had a bad attitude backstage when competing, but that was a great Miss Olympia. Yes, she was. Her attitude, I don't know. Where I heard that she just didn't get enough push because they didn't like her look and stuff like that. But you know, I can understand how, you know, especially when I have talked with you ladies, I understand that how y'all ladies don't get as much respect compared to the men. Everybody's going to look at who's the next big guy, like, you know, guys like Heidi Chopin, Brandon Curry's, there's Blessing, there's Big Ramy, but then, you know, the women, unless you're Bikini, you know, you just don't get much attention. It's a struggle to be in this sport and to have people respect who you are as a competitor, as an athlete.
Well, you know, George, speaking of Iris Kyle, in 1994, I stood on stage with her at the Iron Maiden. It was the Iron Maiden in Venice Beach. And Iris actually came in second. I came in fifth, but, you know, we stood up on stage at the same time. And so I remember Iris before she even turned pro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just had a birthday a couple of days ago. Happy belated birthday to the great Miss Iris Kyle. I usually do make a little videos like that, but I forgot about it. I missed it. You know, I usually do one, but I say it's too late now, so I would. But you know, yeah, to be in the stage with someone like her, you know, 10-time Miss Olympia. She has more Olympia wins, not just Miss Olympia, more Olympia wins than Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie got 8, and she has 10. And people gonna say, well, it was women's bodybuilding, but still Olympia. You know, if you look at someone like Cindy Gillett, even though it's a different division figure, she's right there, right behind Linda, and I think she's gonna have her 8th Miss Olympia coming up, and you know, she's creeping up. She can pop. She's gonna tie with Linda. She might even she might surpass Iris if she wants to. But you know, as they're talking about her, how when women's bodybuilding started out, it was kind of like mostly it was bikini originally. You know, ladies had the high heels, and then it kind of evolved to more like the early version of figure. But then, you know, they kicked the high heels, and you had, you know, people like Richard McLeish and Carla Dunlap, and you had the core users, and then after a while, physique and figure come along, and as you know, you were at the show at Tampa. When you look at the women now, do you feel like there's not much of a difference between, you know, like there's a big difference between bikini and wellness, because bikini is about, you know, skinnier girls with huge boobs, and wellness is about girls with bigger butts and bigger quads. But if you look at divisions between women's bodybuilding, physique, and figure, you kind of see there's kind of a thinning of the wall between those two divisions.
That's true. You know, a lot of times you look at some of the women that are figure, and you look at their shoulders, because that's something you know, figure girls have these big cannon shoulders. I mean, they're bold, wide shoulders. And you always wonder, like, well, is she figure, is she physique, or is she bodybuilding? So they're pretty close. A lot of the figure could compete in physique. And some of the physique, actually, you know, we go into bodybuilding as well. So, you know, we cross over.
Yeah, because I know you were telling me how when you competed the masters part, that you could compete both in physique and in bodybuilding, but you have to pay like a fee. And that's the crazy thing about when you become a pro, you know, you shouldn't have to pay for anything. But as you know, masters is still kind of growing. You know, some women, they feel like they're not ready for masters. I get a lady who said she just turned 53, I think, 52, 53 just a few days ago. She said she's not ready for masters, but then even long as you can make the top 5 at some of these shows. But you know, we get to the point where you compete with girls who are like in their 30s and their 40s whose conditioning is just off the hook. You look like you were there with you were there with Michaela. Michaela's not even 30 yet.
Yeah.
And she just, her physique is just, because she's short. Because I know she's shorter than you, because she's like 4'11", and she can. I think what I always learned is the shorter women can really put on a level of muscle because it's just your body's more compact. It don't take you as much as long as if you like maybe a lot taller. Like I think Nikki Chartrand, she's got to be like about 5'8", 5'9". She looks a lot really tall. I know there's a lady who I did interview. Her name is Andrea Nori. She also had a birthday a few days ago. Andrea's like nearly 6 feet tall, and it's just I think the good part of it is genetics and hard work.
That's true. I mean, the young girls, the 20, 30-year-olds, I was able to take pictures with some of them, Michaela Aycock, Spriami. And when I look at myself and look at them, I'm like, holy cow. I mean, these girls have muscle on them. They're so full. I mean, there's just no way that someone, in their late 50s really can hang in there with some of these girls. So I'm glad that there's a place for us. And I'm glad that they're celebrating us at this time.
Well, folks, we're going to go in her social media for a bit. Like I said, if you're interested in following Mrs. Kitchen, her social media stuff is in the description. Follow her, reach out to her. But, this is no offense to you, Eunice. This is something I tell to the guys out there. No D pics. She has a husband. He don't want to see that. He like, hey, honey, you mind if I borrow your phone? Say, who's seen that shit to my wife? What's your husband's name?
My husband's name is Willie.
Willie? That's a brother's name. Somebody did ask. That's if you said William or Charles, okay. But you say Willie, oh no, somebody go get beat down. I'd say that's a brother's name. So we're gonna go in her IG for a bit, folks. We're gonna check out some of these pictures here. And there she is right here, standing with the current two-time Tampa Bay champion, Mrs. Jenny Feldman. Amazingly, I interviewed a lady who knows her, Daphne Carter. She was trained by Jenny, and Jenny used to be CrossFit, mother of 3 boys. Still looks impressive. Her and Ivy, it was just so close. Her and Ivy, I watched the finals on live stream and live stream on my IG and also my YouTube, and it was so close between the both of them. And there he is with Michaela Aycock, and Michaela, she's going to compete at the Rising Phoenix, and then she go on to Olympia. That's impressive. And look, you got some guns on you too. I mean, And there he is with Richard Daniels, who's one of the top posing coaches right now. I don't think she's competing this year. We might see her next year. As she goes by the moniker the real Lois Lane. Also with the current Texas champion, and also right now over in Romania, Miss Evie Rain. Somebody we say Ivy, but it's Evie Rain. Great lady, beautiful. I've been in contact with her. Hope to get her on my show sometime soon. And here we are, cut between the two champs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have Natalia Cuejo, and you have the lovely, the beautiful, the luscious, oh my God, Andrea Shaw. I know I'm simping. I am. I can't help it. She brings that out of me. I mean, what was it? I mean, you better before back when you competed at the Masters in Pittsburgh. What's your feeling of this league? Tell me, what's it like to be around this woman?
Well, George, she was actually test judging, and she found me after I won because at Masters, I ended up winning. I entered the 40-year-old class, the 45, the 50, the 55. There was like 5 age classes that I entered in bodybuilding, and I won my weight class in each one of them. And so after the night show, after the awards ceremony, she came looking for me, and she told me, she said, I test judged you, and your presentation, your posing routine, she said, just everything about you. She said, you gave me such hope because you're still doing it at your age. And now I feel like, I can go on as long as I want. So to me, that was an Andrea. It was so humbling to have Miss Olympia come up to you and, make that kind of feedback, give you that kind of feedback. And I was just in awe that a Miss Olympia would take the time to do that. And so she was so kind that she was taking pictures with us. She even held my phone, and took pictures of my husband and I and the rest of the team. So, that's just the kind of person she is. She's so humble and just genuine, just authentic. She doesn't feel like, she's anyone special, but, and that's what makes her who she is. She's
beautiful as she's beautiful outside. She's beautiful inside. That's almost a weird combination. Some women can be very beautiful externally, but not as beautiful internally.
Yeah.
But then some women not as beautiful externally, but beautiful internally. But why I heard about Andrea, she is just generally, she's on her game. She's she's really been putting in work lately. I know a while back, I posted this on my social media, and I'm going to post it in a minute, that she just got a cover on one of the biggest muscle magazines back in the day, and that is the it was the muscular development.
Yeah.
And I think somebody told me it was a long time. I try to remember, was there any other female bodybuilder that ever got that cover? I think somebody said Sherry Beatty might have got it, a couple others, I believe. But it was the first time she ever got the cover of this. And like I said, guys, I'm gonna pull up real quick because I'm a fan, and I'm gonna pull up the cover, and it's just, she looked great. I mean, especially because this year she's gonna be 40, coming up in December, and I think she to me, she hit her peak. I think she's hitting her peak, and she can go as long as she likes. As she said, I'm gonna put up the picture real quick, guys, and she looked just. This is I think it's from the last year's Olympia, but it's just that smile, that the physique. I mean, there's a debate that somebody might beat her, but no, I don't see it. Just maybe just me being a fanboy, but I don't see anybody beating her right now. She is, she's just going to dominate as long as she can. I mean, there might be some close calls, but in my opinion, I don't think anyone's going to beat her this year. I mean, I'm hearing Natalia Cuejo, not Natalia Cuejo, I'm hearing Natalia Kobaleva, I'm hearing Christina Mendoza, I'm hearing Andrea Shaw, but
yeah,
they have great physiques, but just they're not as balanced as Andrea. I'm sorry, I've been on Andrea. We got to get back to you again. I want to apologize again. This is a man, Lawrence Perkins says, you're going to keep on inspiring us around the world. Shout out to him. Also, he says, that's a blessing. And he shows me this. He says, calm down, George. Ha, 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 ha. Okay, I'm going to calm down. We're not going too much on Andrea. We're going to get back here because right here we have the lovely Mrs. Kitchen here. She is a star of the show right here. And we're going to go back into her IG a little more and look at some pictures and videos. I mean, like I said, you really have put in a lot of time and work. Because were you planning to compete this year, or you feel like you needed some more time off?
Ask me that question one more time.
Yeah, were you planning on competing this year, or you feel like you needed just because some ladies will get their pro card. You say, what, let me sit out a year or two, let me grow a little bit, and see how I come, and then I make my pro debut.
No, actually, when I got off that stage at Masters, I was immediately encouraged to you need to go ahead and compete. In fact, they were encouraging me to compete that next day because there was a Masters division, the Pro Masters in Pittsburgh. But I just thought, no, I'm going to celebrate and just celebrate what just happened to me. So I'll do a show this year. And so, yeah, my intent was I was going to do my first pro debut this year. Currently, I'm talking to my coach, Gina Cavallero. And so we're trying to decide whether, I need some time off or whether to compete, early spring or wait a little bit longer. But, George, I'm not getting any younger, and my preps are getting, they're challenging. And so I don't have a lot of time left on my hands. So I'm really planning to try to do a couple of more shows.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned Gina Caballero. I got to interview her a while back. As you know, she was sidelined because of some medical issues, but she says she's going to make a return. You know, I think it might be either because there are many shows left for, especially for women's bodybuilding. You know, there's only one more show left that's for Olympic qualification. That's a show in Spain, and also there's a show in Romania that's for next year's Olympic qualification. So I don't know if you know which show she's gonna do. You know, you can do that Connie Chung when she did to Newt Gingrich mom. You can tell me, just say secret. Come on, keep it right. But we're gonna say, well, here we got here. This is a throwback video here.
Yeah, that's actually at the Iron Maiden in 1994.
Uh-huh. So we can't play the music because you know how it is with YouTube, and but yeah, I think I've probably seen this one. Yeah, yeah, I may have seen this one. It's been a long time. This was, like I said, this was before you ladies didn't have too many the fancy posing suits, so we get to that. But you look great.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you were second to Iris that year.
I was fifth, and Iris was second.
Oh, because you were fifth, I was second. Okay, I was second. It's just look. That was like this is. I think this is the look they say they want to go back to for women's bodybuilding, but this is more like closer to early physique, maybe figure with the high heels.
Yeah, that was women's bodybuilding back in 1994.
Yeah, that's remember that look. That's a classic look. Especially like the women coming up back then. When great look. Those national shows are great to watch because you usually always show them more on ESPN and on the other networks. And it was fun for like a kid like me coming up whose family was bodybuilding to watch. Sometimes you should catch it like in the afternoon or late at night. But you look pretty good. I mean, taking fifth, and that was in what class was that? Middleweight or was that?
That was middleweight. That was middleweight. Yeah, that's when we had classes. There was lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight, and I was a middleweight.
Yeah.
And the weight at that point was up to 125 pounds was middleweight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think now they have. I think in some shows will have super heavyweight. I think they have it in nationals and also have it in Olympia amateurs. But you notice it seems like there's a lot of women who don't want to compete in women's bodybuilding. Some will. I've done videos where, especially when I talk about shows, I would see a show with 30 or 40 nearly physique competitors, but then only maybe 6 or 8, if that many, women's bodybuilders. And and it's tough. The shows are getting so short. Now this is gym you work at. What are we talking about?
No, that's actually when I go down to visit my 94-year-old mom. I travel down South Texas, and that gym I stop at because it's like in it's halfway point. So I usually stop there at Rock's Gym and work out.
Uh-huh. And your mom's 94 years old. God bless her.
94 years old.
God bless her. I mean, my mom, she would have been 83 this year. She passed away, but it's good that your mom's still around. And she posted me on this video here. She posted. She tagged me in it. This is why I get a lot more attention now because thanks to you. Because you tagged me in this video. This is like how you just like this is one picture here, you're in the middle in masters, and you just the progression of yourself. You think about making another picture, take the one from the Tampa show and put it into like this, in this collage.
Well, actually, the one in the green posing suit, that was in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did 2022. That was the Masters Nationals where I turned pro. And the one in the red posing suit was actually just a month before I did Tampa.
Wait, so you do another collage, you should have the one with Tampa. Because, that would make it, see how you really evolve. Because you had the one here for the Masters show. You should have the one Tampa show and be like, see like those two together, those four together, see how it's great. You look very impressive. You put in hard work here. But like I said again, the sport of bodybuilding, like people need to understand, it's a tough sport. Especially for a woman.
It's very demanding.
Yeah.
It's a very demanding sport, and you got to have a lot of support. Support for not just someone who understands the lifestyle, because it's a 24/7, especially during prep. You really have to have a mate who understands, the demands on you, and just not that I'm a moody person. I'm usually a real laid back person and always wake up, smiling and in great moods. But during the prep, sometimes at the end of the day, you're so exhausted. And like I said, my preps are longer. And so that just means, you got to put up with me a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's tough. Because I know I talk to some ladies, they like, sometimes they get into like this dark place where your mind is just messing with, especially when you're not eating certain foods. So like, you're constantly, because one thing about bodybuilding, like people, I keep talking about this, it's about being consistent and, following we have a plan to sticking with it. I know, like, some people get tired of eating the same thing, doing this or that, but, to be in this level, you have to follow it. And, I remember I was talking to one lady, it's not just about trusting the process, it's about understanding the process and figure out where you're going to go from that. It's like I said, again, it takes you a lot longer because you are much older. Your body's not going to bounce back as much as like someone like Michaela, who's in her, not even 30 yet.
Exactly.
Or someone or someone like Sherry, who's not even 50 yet. I interviewed Sherry, amazing woman. She's been hygienist, mom, got kids, and to do this sport, like have responsibilities of not just of a spouse, but children. And so again, this is not a very lucrative sport, bodybuilding. Between the cost of your posing suits, like men, all guys got put on as a pair of banana hammocks and a pair of board shorts, and and the other is tanning. But you ladies, you put everything in, like such as traveling, the cost of traveling, the cost of the food you have to eat. When you got to get a posing suit right there, that's almost some cases, your a card note. And if this sport was more lucrative or mainstream, which like I said, like this, Ivy just did the Texas Pro. She got $15,000.
Yeah.
Because Sherry Village put up that money. They're doing the Master Show. First place gets $10,000 in women's bodybuilding in the other divisions, while men gets $20,000.
Exactly.
Like a friend told me, it's a hobby sport, but you love this sport, you enjoy it, you've been a fan, you've been in the sport for a long time. But do you ever feel like, what? Why am I doing it? Why I could have just the money I put into this thing, I could have do what I want to do, travel, do this, do that.
That's true. I mean, it's really a hobby, and it's a passion for me. It's a sport that, my love started at 15 for it. So I've embraced it all my life, and that's what I know. That's who I am. And so for me, I don't have the Louis Vuitton purses and I don't have the jewelry. I'd rather spend it on a coach and on a posing suit and, getting on stage. That's just the choices we make. So that's the passion and the love behind it. It's really just it's a hobby.
Mm-hmm. It's good that you have that love and the passion, because most everyday John Q public wouldn't want to give the morning, go work out, do leg day, eating broccoli chicken all day, can't eat carbs, can't eat this, can't eat that. One thing, especially the carbs part. I know some ladies, like we did Tampa. What was that thing that you had to eat that you were so happy to sit? Oh.
Well, it's always a Red Robin hamburger with the garlic fries and the sweet potato fries and the ketchup, all the ketchup you can have. So that's my go-to. Every prep afterwards, I have to have that Red Robin. I don't know why Red Robin, but it's like the best hamburger out there for me.
Well, like I said, we don't have. I think the closest Red Robin for us here in North Carolina, where I live at, is probably Fayetteville or Florence. I try to believe. Usually, for me, it's either Burger King or McDonald's. Or I think I tried. Like I said, I try to cut back on a lot of that stuff because I was. This is what anybody knows about me. I used to be, because when I was taking care of my mom. My mom was sick for almost 6-7 years. I was taking care of her, and I was almost, after she passed away, I was almost 500 pounds. But then I started, you know what? Now she's gone. I don't have nobody to take care of but myself. I got to take care of my family members. Tell me, George, you need to take care of yourself. So I started taking care of me. You know, I'm right now. I went to a doctor visit about last week. I'm at 388. You know, and sometimes I might say I'm not gonna be perfect because you know this afternoon my nephew he needed to take us some stuff. He needed to drive him to take us some stuff because he got his car got hit by a deer. He had right now he's trying to get the you know, the insurance people try to clear everything else, and he needed me driving to service people. We left after that. We stopped by McDonald's. I got myself a couple of sausage biscuits and a hash brown. He got himself a McGriddle. But yeah, that's the thing about food is both, as you might say, it's both a friend and enemy as a bodybuilder. Don't you think?
Oh, of course, and I also love peanut butter, so that's the hardest. I could have peanut butter every day for every meal. So usually during prep, I try to either I hide it or I don't buy it, unless it's on my meal plan. But rarely is it on my meal plan.
What's your favorite, the plain or the crunchy?
Oh, the crunchy.
Oh my God, the crunchy. You know, I think people like because it's a lot of nuts in it. Sorry, the perfect sage will be come out of two every now and then. Yeah, that's another character. But we got here a man. You know, Lloyd Perkins saying like, I was 3 in '94. Well, I just got out of high school that year. We just moved up here to because I lived outside the country, out in the rural area. Where I'm from, Roland, it's pretty rural, but I lived more out in the country part of it. And my family moved here at town by the end of around about October. I've been living in the same spot for almost 30 years, and I was 19 when I moved up here. You know, but you know, it's like I said, I live here with my mom, my brother, and my nephews, my nieces, and my come in and out, but it was just me and my mom for a long time. She passed away. But, you know, it's just me now. And this is why I do this stuff because, you know, it gives me a purpose to talk to ladies like yourself who put in your hard work in the sport. And you don't get a recognition. I know I got a friend of mine. His name is Coach Sherry Harrison. He does stuff from MMA. He told me, he said, George, what you like to do? I said, well, I'm a fan of women's bodybuilding. I'm a fan of bodybuilding because I grew up in about, you know, my older brother, he passed away about 20 years ago. My older brother, James, he used to be big football star here in our hometown. If you look over my left shoulder, actually, there's a picture of him. That's where his daughter, if you see it. Okay. He used to play football here in our hometown. Used to always get the muscle mags. And, you know, I used to like to read the guy like Arnold and Lee Haney and them. But then, you know, young women was something different, especially when I was coming up and getting to my teenage years. And, you know, it's just something that kind of just changed my mind, you know, I think our ladies are beautiful. I mean, like I said, you may not be the standard of what beauty is, the mindset of every person, but you are beautiful women. You work hard, you put in time to the sport, and you deserve a little more out of it. Like, you know, she sent me some pictures, and this one picture I really liked, and I gotta share it with y'all.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's her and my favorite, the former fiance of the 8-time Mr. Olympia, Mr. Everybody want to be bodybuilder, but the one who lifts heavyweight, Ronnie Coleman. You and Vicky Gates. I love Vicky Gates. She was just, you know, and I know she's from Texas.
Vicky Gates, class act. I mean, she again, smart woman. She was just so fun to be around with. We worked out a couple of times. She worked out in Dallas at Metroflex and at Coit Gym. That's where I met her. And so we became instant friends. And, you know, Vicky is just class act. I mean, just a smart lady.
Mm-hmm. I remember she was dating Ronnie at the time. And they were both working, I think, was it Dallas police or sheriff or something? I'm trying to remember.
Ronnie worked for Arlington Police. Yeah.
Arlington Police. And I know she was often, I think she was also with the same station because sometimes I remember there was a picture somewhere of them together in their uniforms, you know, and you know they broke up a long time ago. But I think the one person to me that kind of resembles her is she lives also in Texas now, is Mayla Ash.
Oh, Mayla Ash, yeah, you're right.
You know, I've been in contact with her on social media also. You know, talk back for a couple of I love to get on. I mean, they just have that same look to them. I think it's the eyes.
It's the eyes. Yeah, I think
those light eyes. They just look like they could be. You know, because if you know history of slavery, a lot of us people were moved around a bit because you never know. But as a competitor, you know, what would you feel like needs to be changed in bodybuilding in your mindset?
Today I think bodybuilding actually has shifted towards a good image. Um, Back in the day, like when you were talking about I was taking evolving bodybuilding to a point where women were losing interest. I think it's making a comeback. I think more women now, we see more women lifting weights now, free weights in a gym. You walk in a gym and as far as like my gym, probably 87% of my members are female. Whereas in the past, it was just me or someone else. And so now it's like it's accepted that women can be strong and have muscles. So I see a lot of what I like best about bodybuilding now is the camaraderie, is that women are all in it to empower each other. When we're backstage, I mean, we're introducing each other, we're getting to know each other. We see someone um, that we can relate to. Whereas in the past, it was like everybody was used to. It was sort of like they'd stay, close and tight. It was more competition versus camaraderie. And now I see camaraderie. And there was not a woman that I went up to at Tampa who didn't just, receive me with open arms and just, you're my iron sister. And so that's what has evolved now. And I really feel like it's shifted towards the better of the whole, bodybuilding era.
Yeah, I think that you see some, but still, there's still that competition mindset. If you are, especially social media. Like, I've seen stuff between, like if you see this recently between two a champion and former champion, they go at each other about stuff, and that's in the other division. But I ain't gonna get too much about that. But yeah, I would say one thing I would like to see more is, especially when you hit this level as a pro, I think it should be, because I keep saying this: you ladies are the product. You men and women, you are the product. We come to see you compete. I think it should be a little bit more, incentive for you. Like we all know the prize money in the shows for especially women, it's not that
For
like
sure. For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because like Michaela walked away with $2,000 in the champ. Was it? I
Yeah.
remember Margie. She posted this like last year. How when Chelsea Dion won and it was $2,000. He said like, wait a minute, like 2 or 3 years ago it was $5,000. If you look at the last Olympias, where guys like Big Ramy and Heidi Chopin walk away with nearly almost $500,000. Andrea gets 50 here, Natalia and Sarah gets 40 here. I know that this is the language that the men's division, truthfully, are the bottom bitches. If you know anything about pimping, the bottom bitch is always the one that makes the money for the pimp. But these women, I know they're gonna, because it's about who comes to shows. That's what I'm learning. Who comes to shows? Sanction fees. Or like one example, as I talk about this, how one of my favorite actors, Arnold, it's not a tumor, Arnold, how he kicked out with any kind of level of women's bodybuilding. First it was like back in 2013 we pushed out the true one of the secondary base titles for women's bodybuilding was Mr. National. Now it's a pro qualifier now. Then he just a couple of years ago just kicked out physique. Then last year kicked out figure. And I remember I was watching this like NPC News Online video because I'm on YouTube a lot, I'm watching videos, and it was backstage. And we talked about earlier how the line between the division, especially even if you look at the girls in figure and in fitness, that was it. You had the figure, you had the girls like you only had what you had figure, fitness, wellness, and bikini. Then you look at someone like Erica Deer, you look at Jessica Padillas Reyes, you look at Missy Trescott and a couple of ladies, and you're saying like, you think to yourself, am I looking at figure and fitness, or I'm looking at physique? And then you decided to push out the division. It's just, so again, even the pro level, there's so few shows for, like regional qualification or national or pro qualification, national qualification for women's bodybuilding, because they have a physique. But then some women say, I'm not a physique type. I might, I don't look, I'm more bodybuilding. Or some would say, it's just, what's your mindset of it?
Well, it's true. There's not enough incentive there for for women bodybuilding. So, I think maybe that keeps someone from wanting to become a bodybuilder, that there's more opportunities for endorsement, marketing, even selling, like a fans only, there's just seems to be more opportunities when you're not, a female bodybuilder and that big. But I'm not sure what has to change. I mean, I think it's shifting towards, Andrea, like you said, she's sex appeal. I think she's drawing a lot more female bodybuilders into that, and maybe we should see a change come soon.
Hmm. Yeah, because I know one girl who competed at the Tampa with you. She's like, I think she's in her 20s. That's Taylor Aragi, and Taylor just turned pro. Was it maybe a week or two before that show at the Miss International, which is now I said again, it's a pro qualifier. It was going to be two competitors. One lady who I interviewed named Hannah Hussein. She was supposed to do that show, but she backed out of it. But Taylor was the only one there that gave her a pro card. People were talking about, well, she didn't win. She did win. She was there. She competed. She didn't have a competition, but she won. She competed, and she was competing in wellness. She did. I think she started out in figure and physique for a minute. Then she did wellness, and then I know she Salika. She played second to Salika at nationals last year, and that's when she was still just competing in wellness. She jumped over, did women's bodybuilding at nationals, was still pretty much borderline wellness competitor competing in women's bodybuilding. And that's why I say like those lines are getting thin. Even if you look at the wellness girls, it's just that they got bigger quads and thighs than most women in physique and women in bikini. But it's about where you fit in. And I know some women, they try to, I want to stay here because this is where I fit at. But then, bodybuilding is about the evolution of a physique. I know I was talking to one lady, she's a figure competitor. She just turned pro at that same show. I think her name is Heather Tillery. She competed at the same show you did, the teen collegiate show. She turned pro in women's figure, but she was also double dipping. She was doing figure and physique.
Yeah, there's similar lines. I mean, for me, I think at my age, I fit more into the physique category at the pro level. Anyway, I competed at the pro level in Tampa in bodybuilding, and I, did need. I looked a lot smaller than some of the women that were up there. I'm only 5'1", and I think the average was probably about 5'4", and they were fuller. And so I think for me, I have to remain in the physique until I can gain some size. And that's what Gina and I are working on, because I'm a true bodybuilder at heart. I would love to get out there and flex just, bodybuilding style, because that's me.
Yeah, well, why you talk about flexing, and I know some of the guys will ask, I usually don't like, give us a little flex if you mind, please, madam, if you can, because you got your shirt out, okay, you smokes, I got to do a flex for y'all. Look at those biceps. Look at the arms. Look at the guns. She got guns, son. She, yeah, because this. Hey, I remember I used to go on this chat room, and guys just tell me like, hey, kid, what there's a saying among the smokes. What's the saying? It says, when you ladies rock hard, we'll rock hard, and it's just crazy, but it's you're changing the aspects of what a woman's body is, and it's a lot of hard work. I can respect that. Like I said again, as a fan, I wish there was more opportunities for you ladies. Like saying, like, everybody's gonna go with the TNA divisions, the tits and ass division. That's wellness and bikini because it fits the standard of what they want. Doesn't take as much work. It's still work into getting to that condition, but it's not as much compared to women's bodybuilding, physique, and some of the other divisions. But as a person in sport, as long as you've been in sport, who was the person that, other than Andrea, you met, especially in career, that really you say Rick McLeish, but who else kind of just made you go like, wow?
I think in Tampa, it had to have been Spriami. There's just a spirit about her that I can't even tell you what it was, but there's a spirit that draws you to her. That was just amazing. And another person was Teresa. Teresa had just gotten off a stage, and I think she just placed fourth. And I asked if I could take a photo with her, and that kindness, there wasn't a hesitation. It was just like, oh, definitely. But it was just like, she was she was also very impactful. So I think her and Priyami were two of the others that have really, to me, have impacted me.
Yeah, because Sherry, she's going to compete for her first Olympia this year. Teresa, I got a bet with a friend right now, and it seemed like, I'm hoping, because if I win, I get $20. If I lose, I got to give her $20. So I cross my fingers. You know who you are, and if you win, you get your dirty money. Like I said, if you win, I'm like this. I'm a man of my word. Why so serious, son? Yeah, it's I did interview with Sherry. She's a great lady. I keep in contact. I enjoy my contact with you ladies because meeting some of you ladies, in the past year or so, going to these shows, talk to you on social media. I remember a while back, one lady, her name is Stacy. She's in the military. She's right now. She's getting ready to compete. I sent her this little thing. I made you something like that a while back too, where I told you like how I say like how I say like to make yourself a legend. I send them every so often to some of the ladies I become friendly with, especially the ones that I do interview with, and it helps because you know what, it gives them that confidence. She told me like, George, thank you for sending me that because you know what, I need something like that. So like, a nice little swift kick in the butt, or just something to say that someone out there knows that you care. And I appreciate the comments you make and stuff you posted on my social media because you know what, it's like I said, it's tough. I got a friend, he does interviews with these women in bodybuilding and also in sports. I say like, George, how do you do it? Well, like this, I had a couple of jobs. My first job as a kid, I used to work at a gas station until I was like 30. I was a stock boy, then I was the assistant manager. Then I used to work in textile for 13 years. I worked with women all day from sun to sundown. And then I had another job at night. And in the hood we call it the booty club, or if you're up the gentleman's club. I tell them like this: women have to remember they're women, and women, even though they have muscles, they can maybe outlift you, pick up a truck, but they're still women, and that's what you got to do. You got to just you got to be at the same time. Like when I say this, like I'm in the comments, no D pics. Women don't like creepy guys. You don't have to be even a female bodybuilder. Women don't like stuff like that, and you just got to treat a woman like a woman. Like your husband Willie, he treats you like his wife. You're partners in business together. You work together. And also we talk about you have a business going. What's the name of your brand?
Well, actually, I just filed for a trademark, and we got the registered trademark. Starting a product line, which.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. She just froze.
It'll be some apparel. Yeah, we're still working on a prototype for this product that will be launching. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, you'll learn a little bit more once that product is out, what it's going to be. But the name of my apparel line will be Bad Rap Bodybuilding. And right now, I've got some of the top female bodybuilders who are willing to endorse it. I'll be flying out to Phoenix, to Rising Phoenix, and sitting down with some of them because I will be offering some endorsement as far as monthly payments, monthly sponsorship. So I'm really looking forward to this new adventure for me. Bad Rap Bodybuilding stands for Big and Defined, Ripped and Pumped. And so I'm a bad rap woman, and there's a lot of other bad rap women out there. And so I really feel like this is going to be something exciting. And I want to invite everybody to follow us because, it's going to hit. It's going to be big.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we said name Ripped and Pumped. Some guys are going to be big, too.
Yeah, it'll be a unisex line. Definitely
Oh,
unisex.
yeah. No, we don't cover years about it, but yeah, that's good because you know what? It's good that one thing bodybuilder can use, especially if you can get more mainstream corporations back there, that could help. Like you go into the Rise of Phoenix. That means that you might run into Jake Wood. And this is I gotta do it every time I say his name. Jake, Jake, Jake. I want that money. I want that gun. I'm sorry. Every time I hear his name, I don't know a lot of guys named Jake. If I do meet him, I don't know if I would say it to him. I might. I mean, I would say, Mr. Woods, I want to say this to you before I go. Yo, Jake, I want that money. I want that gun. And Jake Wood, I want you. I want your money. Just give me what you got in your pocket, Jake. I know you got enough. You just give me what you're a billionaire, man. Just give me what you got in your pocket. I don't need much. Just I can use a little bit. But we got here, man. Lawrence Perkins says, yeah, you have my full support. Thank you, Lawrence. And like I say, this is why I would say this. Anybody out there who is interested, because I know she said she also sponsors, who's interested in maybe taking part in genuine interest, reach out to Eunice and ask her, it's what you can do to take part, what kind of support you can offer. But don't be that weird guy and saying like, hey, Eunice, you're a pretty mamacita. You all pumped up, and if I do something for you, do something. No, stop that. Because her husband named Willie would kick your ass. Just be someone said, Mrs. Kitchens, if you need anything from me, particularly, whatever you need from me, let me know. If you will help me with any kind of financial help, any kind of sponsorship help, I was interested in doing that. But that's what we can really use because they did have the ambassador program. They dropped it. Things are going. I think Jake and the Wingstrip is going another direction. As the Master Show is going to be. I was talking with somebody who was saying that they was hoping the Master Show to come here to the States, but the way it looks like it because it's conjoined with the Amateur Eastern Europe Olympia. It's going to be a pro-am show, I believe. So I know it costs a lot of the travel because that's the thing about bodybuilding. Say again the cost, and then you got to go to another country. I know I was talking with a couple people. Daphne and her husband Keith, they just competed at the Tampa because she was good friends with Jeannie. How they said that they wasn't going to put out like $5,000 just because they could have applied and probably he competes in men's classic and Daphne wins physique. And Daphne, I know you met Daphne. She's an attractive woman. Her and Marika, they both are those attractive women. But they both felt like it wouldn't be their interest to pay that much money to go clear across side of the world. But I wish there would be more opportunity, especially for this year, where just lost the Puerto Rico Pro. Don't have the Linda Murray Savannah show. I went to see that last year. Here's a funny story about that. I missed my train back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my niece, she lived in Atlanta. She came down in a couple hours drive and drew her old uncle home. And she offered to let me stay with her in Atlanta. Whenever I wanted to. And I was thinking about doing it, but like I said earlier, my car. If you know my car, I wish it was a horse. You could shoot it and be done with a broken leg. But I think if we can get more sponsors, maybe one thing is like this shows when people talk about how they're cutting down, they got rid of the point system because so many competitors. But here's the thing like this. If you break it like this, you have 10 divisions and it's the top 3 people that win by point. That's 30 people. But when you have like 100 bikini shows, 1,000 men's classic shows, 1,000 men's bodybuilding shows, 1,000 wellness shows, and only have so few in women's bodybuilding, even so few in women's physique, and probably next to that is fitness. But then you talk about the running time, and then you cut out maybe 30 people, you still got another up to some more people. I mean, it's frustrating.
It is frustrating. It's really frustrating. Yeah, especially for these women who you have to win the overall to be able to qualify for the Miss Olympia. So, when you talk about the classes are getting smaller, the participation is getting smaller, that's because that's a lot of investment. And it's just, pretty much like, do you put all your eggs in one basket? So yeah, there has to be some incentives and I hope that that's something that I can help with my bad rap bodybuilding, in that I will be able to sponsor some of my the top women bodybuilders in which I'm speaking with, and maybe it'll help them to participate more because they can plan to budget with that monthly endorsement that they'll be receiving.
Mm-hmm. Because that's a good thing about the ambassador program. Some ladies get to work, because I met Donna Salib last year at Savannah, and another lady who on my channel, I don't speak her name, she was there, and it was great to see those ladies there. And it was a great opportunity, because what I heard was a lot of stuff going on with it, but the fact was that women's bodybuilding need any kind of support. Jake Wood, he did pretty good. He kind of let down a little bit on it, but I think if we get more people, like, I know one thing I can say like this: if there's if enough guys, especially if you spend money on sessions, and stuff like that, if you can spend that money like that, you can come together and say, reach out to some of these promoters, like, hey, you got a show where there's like maybe 2 divisions, and all you got to do is pay for the prize money for the women's bodybuilding part, and you still got to pay the sanction fees to the Mannion family. You got to pay them their per diem. Like the mob, you got to pay the mob their per diem. And if there's enough people to come together and say, we want to see more women's bodybuilding. It's getting really low. I mean this year's going to be almost a little over 10 women. Compared to last year was like at least 20. But without the point system, and then with so few shows, and then you have like people like double dipping, like they'll do a show, qualify, then do another show, and then I know what Natalia did, how she was doing 5 or 6 shows. Excuse me for a second. I'm just gonna 5 or 6 shows, and nobody. Anyway, she's doing 5 or 6 shows, and she already qualified for the Olympia, but you're taking qualification for somebody. I don't say it's about competition, but you're already on the top. Even though you're not the Miss Olympia at that time, you're already in the show. So step back and let somebody see if they want to get a chance. I know someone say, like, I remember when I did the interview, I said this with Robin Mays. He said, like, it's about competition. I understand what Miss Robin said, but at the same time, I know people back in the head say, you know what, you already got your qualification. Step aside, let somebody else get theirs.
True. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well, folks, we do enjoy Miss Eunice's time. And Eunice, it reminds me of the name. You remember the Vicky, the Carol Burnett show? The character that was Eunice, Vicky Lawrence's daughter.
Oh yeah, I'm Carol Burnett. Yeah, that's how. I don't hear my name much, but anytime that someone says Eunice, I always refer back to the Carol Burnett show.
Yeah, I used to remember that show.
Old enough to remember.
You can still watch it. Sometimes you can catch on some networks here and there. I still watch it now and then. I used to watch it when I was coming as a kid, because it was like family time. Me, my brother, sister, my mom. My mom was a single mom. Her and my father were together for 55 years, but he was living in New Jersey while we were still here in North Carolina. And it was a great family time to get together. Watch some old TV shows. Seemed like TV. I don't really watch TV much like I used to. I'm more on the computer, stuff like that. It just seems like there's not much to watch now. Even give us Saturday mornings. So what's there to look forward to?
Exactly. There's no cartoons anymore. At least cartoons that make sense.
Yeah, stuff the kids watch. Like one cartoon I used to love was SpongeBob SquarePants. I used to love to watch with my nieces and nephews. I don't watch it anymore like I used to, but I used to love watching it. It's just maybe I grew up with the era of Johnny Quest and the Flintstones and G.I. Joe, and those were cartoons. Those were
the cartoons. Speedy Gonzalez, and
it tried to cancel Speedy because it says it's a two. They canceled Pepe Le Pew.
Oh my god!
Because that last Space Jam movie, he wasn't in the remote. LeBron James, he wasn't in it.
Oh my gosh!
They canceled Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, those were the cartoon days. That's when we would get up Saturday mornings early because we couldn't wait to watch Porky Pig, Bugs Bunny, and of course, the Speedy Gonzalez and
Quick Draw McGraw, Huckleberry Hound.
It just went on and on.
Yeah, you watch cartoons from the morning, then you watch wrestling, and then as kids we watched used to be this network, one of these chases show Kung Fu Theater. Like, you told my brother, I will kill you for it.
And then at noontime, you would start watching Soul Train and American Bandstand and
Hee Haw,
yeah.
Solid Gold. Hey,
Yes.
I know your young bucks don't know what Hee Haw and American Bandstand or Soul Train were, but those were the shows we watched when we were kids coming
Exactly.
up. It was entertaining. You didn't have to watch it on cable. It came on regular television. Especially now, you get in the morning, you watch news.
Soul Train.
Yeah, I mean, Rosie Perez, the actress, she was on there. She used to do that mean.
Yeah.
Rosie was mean with that dancing, and she became the choreographer for A Living Color. We got here, man. Warrior 2000 says, "I know George excited to see Andrea Shaw on the cover of the Muscle Develop magazine." Well, Warrior, I'm gonna see if I can find a hard copy. You used to sell it in Walmart. I used to always see my muscle mags at the grocery store or Walmart. It used to be a B. Alton's at the mall, right? But you can't, most of the malls and bookstores don't carry the muscle. It used to be back then. I have a collection of body magazines.
I wish I still had mine. You would rush down to us, the 7-Eleven, first of the month, to go get your Shape magazine, your Muscle and Fitness, your Flex magazine, and your Iron Man. That's the ones I would buy.
Well, it was Iron Man, Flex, Muscle Development, Muscle and Fitness. Also I used to order, back issues of Women's Physique World.
Yeah.
And I got a friend, this guy I know, his name is Glenn, and he has his own magazine. I'll send you his link to his IG later. It's called Amazon Fitness Magazine. Okay. He did a photo. He did a photo session with Teresa Vosick. Also, when Shauna Boswell was down here last year, I got to meet with Shauna. She was down here last year, and she was doing a seminar, a photo seminar, and he did a photo session with her. You don't see many magazines. They're rarely, back in the day, you see like 10 pages when they had Miss Olympia. Then I think those last few years, like maybe a page and a half.
Yeah, those were the days, and now everything's social media, so people don't buy magazines,
Yeah, well, like I said, paper is a dying form of social media. So but folks, like I said, we're not gonna hold much longer. We're just having that conversation between two old fogies. Y'all young guys, y'all never know what like when was coming up. Y'all youngsters had easy with all this INET and this web thing and like this. You never really had to get up in the morning and pump water and cut firewood. You never had to do that. You got all this indoor electricity now. But yeah. But like I said, do appreciate the lovely Mrs. Kitchen's time for coming through. We hope the best for her. Is there any plans on competing this year, or you think you're taking a step back?
Not this year. Like I said, Gina and I are talking about early spring. If we do early spring, then my prep would start sometime mid-November. But we still, still focusing on growth, especially in my lower body. So we'll see what plans we come up with and what's the best step for me and my health. But I do plan on competing in 2024. It may not be early spring, but it'll be in 2024.
Mm-hmm. So with Physique, I think there's more opportunities for you. Plus, since you live in Texas, you're a little closer to shows like there's the Ultimate Classic, there's the Omaha Pro. There's more opportunities for women's physique for competition compared to women's bodybuilding. There was at one point, there was going to be a show for women's bodybuilding in Texas. I remember it was originally on the list when they put it out last year, but then when I looked at it, some lady told me, said, "George, check the list again," because I think they dropped that show in Texas. I said, "What?" And so it was gone. Because I said, "Damn," and then saw the Puerto Rico Pro is gone, got kicked out of Omaha. I mean, it's get tough, but physique is a division where there's more opportunities, even though their shows are getting cut by a little bit, but still, I call physique watered down women's bodybuilding, but even the different ladies in the division, ladies I come fairly with, I got a little more respect for it. Like I said, my channel, I'm really expanding myself because I've interviewed women in figure. I've interviewed a couple ladies in bikini. I like to do some more with some ladies in wellness. That's another situation. But as a content creator, I really want to give y'all ladies the platform to come out here. But like people like guys like Lawrence Perkins and Warrior 2000 and people who are fan you ladies who follow you. I mean, I have guys say like, Joey, we're talking such. I love talking such. I love how Andrea Shaw. I love having Mia Ash out here. I love talking to ladies like yourself, who has been bikini as long as you have. Took a step back, come back, compete. You know, this is y'all need to be because it wasn't for women like you and Iris and Rachel and Corey and all these others, and Michelle Brent, who's probably right now the oldest woman. No, actually, she's the second oldest woman because you were at Tampa when Patty Corbett came back.
Yeah, Patty Corbett. She's 68.
68.
Yeah.
She's the second. Actually, I think she's second. So there's a lady who's 4 years old who is a pro. I don't think she competed. She got a pro card. A friend of mine, Mary Ann, she got a pro card also at collegiate. I think it was collegiate or another show. And the lady just said, look her up down, said, you're my competition. And look, she was like 71 then. But ladies like yourself in your 60s, 70s, 50s, who are in the sport, we're talking about. We have the new generation, like the Michaela Acox, the Talia Cuejos, the Taylor Aragis, these young uppercut competitors who feed in the sport. But it's women like yourself who are in the sport from kind of like the ground up, who had your boots on the ground, 10 toes down. It's women like you that really inspire the next generation. And to come in and you to work out, the condition. You could be like, sitting at home and just watching, old episode of Gunsmoke and, or being like, like I see pictures, you have the Mexican bitch flip, just being a abuela and just cooking, chicken capollo or whatever. But you have a passion for the sport. And this is why I like to give y'all ladies the platform, and I respect y'all. I respect you both as a woman, as an athlete. The small me admires your muscle, but the man in me admires you as a person.
Thank you, George, and I thank you for the opportunity and just the social media friendship that we've sparked. So just everything you're doing for women's bodybuilding, we just we need to get more people to support you and watch your podcast and all your interviews and just can't thank you enough for the opportunity.
Well, like I said, one of my if my man KL the Wonder was here, he'll pick on me about this. One of my favorite movies is my whole favorite trilogy is the whole Chris Nolan Batman trilogy, and one of my favorite movies is Batman Begins. And at the end of it, Gary Oldman was playing Jim Gordon. He says to Batman, says, I forgot to thank you. And Batman turned around and said to him, you never have to, because like I said, this gives me a purpose. To give you ladies the platform to share with people that don't understand what you go through as athletes, as women. You have to deal with people's comments. You have to deal with people like say she's trying to be a man. She's not a man. She has a husband. She is an athlete. It may not be the idea of what you consider what is feminine. Like one thing was I saw this video that you have. I'm gonna pull it up because this is something that I think people need to see and need to understand, what women like yourself go through, and it's on your IG. And I think if people understand you as a woman's athlete, I think they can get a little more respect. So I'm going to pull up in a minute. And it's a nice video. Whoever did it for you did a great job. And
thank you.
So we're going to pull up here. Here it is. You just mopping the floor.
That's my gym.
Even cleaning off the the machine equipment, that tells you love your gym, you're committed to the sport. Good thing that the music is copyrighted by YouTube, so I don't have to worry about a strike.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing, George.
Yeah, because when you use any kind of music for the YouTube lab, then you have to worry about it. It's all right. So anyway, like I said, we'd like to thank you. We appreciate your time for coming through here, talking with us, sharing with your story. Um, while you're here, do you have anybody like your sponsors, friends, family you want to shout out, who want to say thank you to?
Of course, it's my family. Um, can't thank my family enough, which consists of my spouse, my husband, Willie, my siblings that have always been there to support me, my mother. Um, she's always accepted whatever I've always done and has never put limitations, and she's proud of me. Um, she's always been proud of me, regardless of whether bodybuilding was something that women did back then. She supported me 100%. So I had loving parents. Just can't thank them enough for what they did for me. Friends, lots of friends. My gym family. I've got some a team that's with me. Tyler Tabor. He's one of my personal trainers here at the gym, but he's more like a son to me. So I want to thank him for always being there for me. Just friends that have reached out that I have built relationships with on IG from previous shows. Lisa Jacobs. I got support from my training partner, Jojo Folks, and she's a super person, and just glad that I've sparked that relationship. I've got support from other friends in IG that check on me all the time, especially during this prep. So to my friend Diane, thank you. To my friend Lisa, thank you. To Gina, of course, my coaches, Shelby Starnes and Gina Cavallero. Just want to thank them from the bottom of my heart. And then my posing coach, Jeff Duell. And can't say enough about Jeff. Probably one of the best posing coaches in Texas. So I want to thank all of them, and thank you, George, for the opportunity.
Well, like I said, ma'am, I really appreciate for you to give time to share with me and my followers. I wish you best of luck in your future. I mean, like I said, bodybuilding is a tough sport, and people need to understand that this is a sport about being consistent. I know some people have the idea what should be, like one thing is always going to be the finger get pointing at you because use your steroids, use that. But that's only a small factor in the sport. It's a small factor. It's a part of where but you have to be able to take the time off. Going to do leg day, we don't want to do leg day. Getting out of your bed in the morning. I know there's times where you and Willie might want to sit up and eat burritos and watch football together. But you have to be dedicated to do ways to do it. I mean, like Ronnie Coleman said, if everybody want to be a bodybuilder, but everybody don't want to lift his heavy ass weight. And that's why I expect ladies like yourself. Except again, you're a person who has your feet on the ground, 10 toes down. And I'd like to give you ladies like this opportunity to share your story, because the fact is, you could be just anybody. You could be a housewife in Saskatoon. You could be some person who's like I had a guy who used to come out here named Brooke Royale. He was in a wheelchair and diabetic, and he always asked the question like, "What can you do?" And I said, "Well, just follow a diet, Brooke. What can I can understand. It's tough what you ladies do, and you gotta respect it. I mean, I wish more people would be more acceptable. I know it frightens the everyday person when you see like I know women like yourself. You get harassed, you get comments. It's hard, but you know what? You don't do this for them. You do this for yourself because you have a goal. And I like to be an advocate for your ladies. I love to give your ladies a voice. I like I said, I'm a fan. I as I'm not good. I'm most of her smoke. I've matured. You know, things I've learned with conversations where I have with you ladies off the books, talking to them on the phone. There have been times where we're still good friends. Sometimes we sit and talk for a couple of hours, just shoot the shit. I have people on here. I have had interviewed men too who I've become really cool with because their stories like this guy named Sean. Me and Sean, we're still good buddies. He's a men's physique competitor. He's an amateurs. Dad used to be over 300 pounds, and his story really can inspire someone. And yourself, being with your dad, well, let's say thank you to your father. Because you know what? He could have did the typical, machismo man thing, saying like, nah, I want my little girl to be like my son. He could have said, nah. He could have just stopped you from, just say, hey, just be like your mother, be a good housewife, have kids, yeah. But he inspired you. And I remember I did an interview with a lady, my dear friend, the late Wanda Lee Quaresma. You know Wanda Lee. She said her father inspired her. I remember one lady, Sarah Bowes, her father. It's good. I had much of a father. He was in and out of our life, but it's good that good men like that love their children enough to say, follow your dream. Most people say, yeah, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. You just give yourself a job and live your life. And it's good that you get this purpose. You get the bad rap coming up. Maybe we might see you next year. Hell, as the master show is Olympic qualification. You can get an invitation. You could probably boom go to the Olympia next year and I mean, do whatever you want to do with your life. Because you know what? You're an athlete, you're a woman, you're a wife, you're a business, you're in a business. You're really someone that needs the support of us fans. And we'll stand by you. Like my man, Warrior 2000, my man, Lawrence Perkins in here. I usually have a little bit more of a crew, but it's Friday. Everybody's probably, it's the middle of the afternoon. They probably haven't got off work yet. But I do appreciate those people that come here and support you ladies. Because you know what? They admire you. And guys, said again, if you're interested in maybe reaching out to the lovely Mrs. Kitchen for about, maybe sponsoring her and her Bad Rap Corporation, reach out and gain interest. Don't be that weird guy who, like, I know some of these ladies to make the money, they do, like, as I call them, the beat the meat websites, but that's just a way to make money. But if you are someone interested in maybe sponsor someone like her, maybe even sponsor these athletes, they can use this money. I mean, like I said, little things that can help them out along the way. Like I said, she was worried about her cable connection. We had a little skirt earlier, but it's all right. But if you're someone out there who's like, you know what, Mrs. Kitchen, if you need something from me, let me know. Any athletes need something, let me know. Let me help you out. Let me just do something because, like I said, we need that support, especially for y'all ladies. Y'all you put so much, but get so little out of it.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it. And you have a great weekend. And again, thanks for the opportunity.
Well, ma'am, you thank you for the opportunity. You have a great weekend. I'd like to thank you again. Good luck. Try to survive that heat in Texas.
I sure will.
I know. I had a nephew. He was stationed in the military. He was down there. He told me, "Oh my God, I had some cousins. I don't know. If I go to Texas, I'm a ghetto snowman. I'm going to melt."
Oh, well. Yeah. All right, George. I got my afternoon, and I got to get busy with my clients, so I really appreciate you.
Okay, good. Hit the ground running. Thank you, man. So, anyways, again, thank you. I want to thank my man, Warrior 2000, my man, Lawrence Perkins. I thank the lovely Mrs. Eunice Martinez Kitchen for coming through. Support each other's bodybuilding. Follow, share, subscribe, support. And to you freaks out there, no D pics. Her husband's name is Willie. That's her brother's name. You don't mess with a brother's girl. You go get your ass whooped. Okay. So anyway, folks, thank you for coming through. Thank you for support this women in bodybuilding, and I hope y'all enjoying the rest of your weekend. You should be on our Rich page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Like, don't like, subscribe. I'm out.